You guys saw that if you follow me, that I got 40 pounds of Zaycon grass-fed, 93% lean ground beef. And I've got 20 pounds of it's already in the freezer. I've got 20 pounds to go, and I'm gonna can some of it. So I brought out my little All-American canner. This is a 10.5 quart. I'll leave a link below. So if you're interested, I tell you, this is my favorite because I can do small jobs that aren't overwhelming. I'm not lugging a huge canner, although I love my bigger 21 quart or 21 or 921, I guess it is. I absolutely love that canner too. And so for bigger projects, I bring that out, but I wasn't quite sure how much of this I wanted to can up. And I went over in my inventory book and realized how much I'd used last year since I put that inventory together, and I think I've got it. So that's what we're gonna can up. And every time we go camping or anywhere like that, I make sure I have a quart jar or a 1.5 pint jar of ground beef with me. It either supplements the dog's food with brown rice, or we've got a quick and easy dinner, and I don't have to worry about it. You know, a little brown, heat it back up, make a gravy, put it over mashed potatoes, with a side of canned spinach on the side, home canned spinach. You got dinner. Okay, and pretty reasonable, I might add. This ground beef was only $3.79 a pound. Somebody was asking me. And if you go to Zaycon, there's a link down below, sign up for free. If you decide that you want to purchase from them and they've got some place to pick up locally, you're close to you, you can get off your first order only 20% off your entire order. It doesn't matter if you order chicken, ground beef, ham, whatever they've got coming up in the future, you could order one of everything and you're gonna get 20% off the entire order for your first order. So that's kind of fun. They've never done that before, and that offer is good to the end of March. And the promo code you would need to put in at the end when you're checking out is all caps BL20. So that'll be down below as well. So anyhow, let's get back to the recipe. Now, in the past, I've done dry canning ground beef, and I love it. I've done it for years. I've had absolutely no problem. It tastes just like you just browned it off once you heat it through. It's fantastic. But I opened a jar of ground turkey that I had canned in liquid. Now, I didn't use water. I used chicken broth and chicken bouillon. And as a matter of fact, it was the better than bouillon, which is what I'm going to use today. And there's an ingredient in here. Where is it? Ingredients list. Maltodextrin. That is what industry started putting in canned products to keep the meat more fresh texture, if that makes sense. So it didn't get mushy. And I'm telling you, that turkey, I couldn't have pinpointed when I cooked it if somebody just put it in front of me. It tasted that good. So let's get to browning this meat up, and I'll show you what comes next. And the jars are in the dishwasher getting sanitized. And so I see my camera's beeping at me, red light, so I better get going. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You're just gonna brown this off, and I put no oil in the pan. I'm gonna do this in batches, and once I get a batch done, then I'm going to put it in a foil pan and go to batch 2 until I feel like I've got enough to at least fill the jars that I have for the canner. If I get a little bit more, I'll just add a little taco seasoning to it and make a taco. But okay, and then what I'm going to do for the broth is I'm going to be using better than bouillon. I've got a saucepan full of filtered water, and I'm going to use the better than bouillon beef. And that's what I'm going to pour in over top of my cooked ground beef. And sorry, my dishwasher is going, but that's what we're doing. So I'll bring you back when we're filling up jars. Okay, so we are ready to start jarring this meat up. I've got everything out that I need. I have the debubbler, the magnetic wand, my lids are in hot water. I've got my bigger funnel here, some rings. We're good to go. Okay, so you can't get any simpler than this. I've got my meat that's been sitting here. It's still really warm. I just put it in this pan and popped it in the oven on warm to keep it hot. you're gonna go ahead and fill your jar. And I wanna pack these down a little bit because I want a lot of meat. This is gonna be for a meal, and there should be enough in this jar by the time you're done to actually give you a meal fit for a family of 4. So get your debubbler and go ahead and start poking at it, and it'll create some space in there. And I think this will be a nice amount to have on the shelf. And then I'm gonna go ahead, switch hot jars, oh, really hot, and get your beef broth. And I would use the Better Than Bouillon, it's organic. You're gonna get that maltodextrin in there. If you use homemade beef stock, I don't think you're gonna get the same effect, but I could be wrong. If you've done it and the texture stays good, let me know in the comment section. Ooh, I'm super excited. I'm really excited about this canning session. I know you guys have been asking for some more canning videos, and I'm happy to do them. I absolutely love canning. Okay, and that looks fantastic. You want 1 inch of headspace. So I've got a little bit of room there. I'm gonna go ahead and just fill it with the broth. And that's covering the meat completely. And we are ready to go ahead with the napkin. Come on, please, somebody work with me. Clean off the rim of your jar. Give it one last feel, make sure there's no chips in the jar, and grab yourself a lid that's been soaking in hot water. Get your jar snuggler and fingertip tight. That's it. This is going in the canner to wait for the rest of the jars. And isn't that beautiful? Bring you in for a close-up. Do one more jar. Okay, so here's this jar. Isn't that gorgeous? And what a treat that's going to be for a pan of lasagna, spaghetti sauce, chili, jar of beans, a skillet meal, all kinds of fast food items basically. And you know what's in there, you know that it's wholesome, and it makes your life easier. You do a little bit of work today, and tomorrow, or whenever you decide to pull this out, is a no-brainer. Can't wait to eat dinner kind of day. Okay. And this beef smells really beefy. I don't know if that's that can be, but it does. Okay. Go ahead with your debubbler, pokey wand, pokey wand. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead. I want some more meat in there. Sometimes you have to lift your funnel up to see what you got going on. Make sure that you don't go above that inch of headspace though with the meat. And let's get this one out of the way here. Pull this jar over. And we're gonna go ahead with our broth. Ugh. And when the first time I use the a jar of this, I will do a video and show you and tell you my honest opinion of if it came out the way the turkey that I had did, or if it's a fail. Or yeah, I don't think it's ever a fail, because even if it comes out really soft, it makes excellent sloppy joes. There's nothing better than a good old-fashioned sloppy joe with home canned ground beef. Okay, if you guys don't have a recipe for that, let me know. Somebody was asking me the other day, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a recipe. I just shared the recipe, but all right. So we're gonna wipe the rim of this one. Check one last time. Put a lid, and get my jar snuggler. And this thing only works for taller jars. The pint jars it really doesn't work well for. Fingertip tight and in the canner. So I'm coming back on for a couple of reasons. While I was tightening the canner and adjusting the lid, it dawned on me that there's probably some people out there that are brand new or brand new back to canning. And some things don't get explained on YouTube or in a book, or you overlook the detail. And so I try in each canning video to bring you something else that I think might be a helpful tip or reason why. Because so many of us need a why to make it make sense in our head. So when you're doing pressure canning with an all-American canner, you need to get your lid centered, and there's this gap here. You need to have it kind of as even as possible. So it is a little bit of juggling because these lids can get stuck on. This one has gotten stuck, I think the first 6 or 7 canning sessions, and then it quit. But I really work at getting it level. And then the other thing is, and I've seen people do this wrong, you are to bring up opposite sides, get them just tight, just to hold them on all the way around the canner, and then opposite sides, not this one, because you'll tilt your lid. You need to tighten them down opposite sides. So you get a good seat with your lid, and it doesn't get stuck. But this one, I mean, there's some lids that do get stuck. They're very easy to get undone. The other thing that I saw not too long ago and I wanted to address was somebody, and it was a different canner, but they got done with their canning session and they went to bed. I'm sure they took the weight off, but they went to bed and left the cans or the jars in there all night. And you might ask, well, why can't you do that? There's a thing called... So the reason you wouldn't want to leave jars in the canner overnight to cool down, it makes, in some respects you think, well, it's cooling down slowly, you'll get less evacuation of liquid, of all that. But you can get I can't remember the technical name now, it's slipping me, but it sours your product. And it causes bacteria because it needs to come all the way down off of heat. These canners stay hot for a very long time. If you leave it locked up in the canner, it then is at a temperature it should not be for prolonged periods of time. And so it can ruin your batch of canning. So don't, I get them out. I let them cool down enough so I don't lose a lot of liquid out of the jars. I'm going to show you at the end of the video how I do it. And like I just did turkey broth, bone broth, and I had 0 evacuation out of my jars. I mean, you couldn't feel it on the edge, you couldn't see it in the water. The headspace was identical even after they cooled down. So this is going to come up to steam coming out of the petcock, and I can feel the heat already. And once a steady stream of steam, we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. And it's very important to get all the air that's in the canner the same temperature, or the water surrounding the jars. Get this canner ready to do its job. And then we'll go ahead and put the weight on. And this weight comes in 5, 10, or 15. My altitude, I'm at 4,500 feet above sea level, so I need the 15-pound weight. This is why you don't want to, if you're at my type of elevation, you don't want to use a electric pressure cooker, excuse me, because they're not designed to go above 11 psi. And so that's a whole nother video though. Poof. Okay guys, we'll be back when this is back down off of pressure and we're getting ready to take the jars out. Okay, can't wait. Oh, and it made 2 quarts. Exactly, 2 quarts and 3 1.5 pint jars. And to me, that's perfect. I get a fair amount of product on my shelf, and I'll decide before I'm done with that ground beef whether I want to go ahead and do another run in the canner. All right, the dogs want to know. Okay, so my canner has come down off of pressure, and I've taken my weight off. It's right here. It's still hot. Make sure your gauge comes down to 0. I've taken my weight off. Oops, good catch. And I'm going to loosen the thumb screws. And again, it's going to be across from each other. You want to loosen them. And so it comes up evenly. There we go. And you really don't need mitts for that. These stay cool. Now on the lid itself, see, I'm gonna let some of the steam out, but I'm really going to focus. There's a little hitch here that slides under that spot, and I like to set that up on there, and I'm going to let it just sit for a little bit so it comes down off that heat slower, and it doesn't get shocked into the airspace that's in the room, which is a little cooler. It's winter time, but it doesn't matter, summer or winter. And then the part where I couldn't remember what it was called, when you let the jar sit in here, they sit at a unhealthy temperature for too long. Well, it's a temperature that is okay, but at a long period of time, it's called flat sour. So if you Google that or look in your canning book, you'll figure out that it's not a good thing. So don't leave your jars in there extended periods of time. We're going to go ahead and leave this probably for another 15 minutes and let all that hot air come out of the canner and kind of calm down, so I don't have too much liquid evacuating out of my jars from thermal shock, because that will happen. You pull them out now and they look all great, and then all the liquid boils out. Too rapid increase or decrease in temperature. So we'll be back when we pull them out, and that's the end of our video. So I gotta get to the next thing I got going on. I have meatloaves in Zaycon meatloaf in the oven. So guys, I've taken my lid off. It sat here with the lid on there like that for about 15 minutes. And now I'm okay with bringing these out of the canner. And so remember, when you bring these out of the canner, put your jar lifter under the neck of the jar, so you don't ever lift it by the ring of the jar, because you could actually pull the ring off and then have a big, huge scalding mess. These are still boiling in the jar. I don't know if you can see that. They're still boiling in the jar. It's a very hot item. Make sure that you're safe. And the headspace is expanded right now. I'm hoping that by leaving them set and kind of come down a little bit slower and not shocking the jars. There is some liquid, not a lot, but I do see some liquid in the water. And then this is a 1.5 pint size jar, and put that over here. Absolutely fantastic. So here's probably, I'm gonna say 2, 4, 6, 7.5 pounds of meat that I've got stocked in my pantry. Beautiful. All of them look fantastic. So I hope this inspires you to go ahead and start your own canning and research some stuff. Research flat sour. Research, how to can, and use a reputable source. Don't take my word for it or anybody else on YouTube. Go ahead and get yourself a reputable canning source. I get questions daily that I will not answer, because it's not my place to answer for somebody to get confused and not get the right information and possibly harm their family. So you gotta do your research. Get a reputable canning source and you'll be okay. All right, guys, it's very rewarding. Whoop, jars are popping. All right, so the lids are already pinging, and this 90-minute session in this little canner, I had 3 inches of water, and I measure it by my finger. There's probably only 1 inch of water left. That's how much steam releases during the canning process. So never run your canner dry, or you will ruin it for life. And they won't warranty a canner that you've run dry. So there you go. I'll take a picture, and I can't wait to see you next time. I can't wait to see the comments below. And as always, guys, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You'll see lots more stuff like this: cooking, canning, vlogging, gardening, dogs, you name it. And if there's anything you want to see, let me know. All right.